So I've tried affordable 3D printing with a filament printer, which is not ideal for scale modeling, but is really good for other purposes as it creates really strong parts. This time I wanted something specifically for scale modeling, which is usable and creating usable parts. So of course I'm going to go onto Thingiverse, get some files for the parts that I want, or just build some of your own in a 3D modeling program. I'm not capable of that, so Thingiverse is ideal for me. Then load it into the Shibubox computer program to slice the files and also add some supports that are for the printing purposes, which helps to print the parts, of course. It's a lot more detailed than that, but I'm just going to keep it simple as I'm not an expert at this at all. And then just export the file, save it, and import it into your printer. This time I'm working with Elegoo. They sent over the Elegoo Mars Desktop Resin 3D printer, which is ideal for smaller projects and is really affordable. Now it's really easy to work with as well. As you can just see, you just download some files on the internet or create your own, import it into the program, and then export it to the printer in order for it to start printing. In this case, you simply just turn the printer on after you've unpackaged it, of course. Carefully lift off the UV protective cover on top, then loosen the screws for the resin tray and also the screws on the build plate itself to loosen it and in order for it to level. Then go into the settings, lower the build plate, and starts to level it. I put 2 pieces of A4 size paper underneath it, then it taps down twice and stays down until it is completely leveled. Then you can retighten both screws. Now of course I'm going through all of these settings really quickly. This is all explicitly explained in the instruction manual that comes with the printer. It's really understandable and really easy to follow. So if you're not really following me but are interested in one of these printers, the instructions and the videos that Elegoo makes and come with the printer are extremely helpful as well. Once you've tightened both screws, then lift up the bed again. This is done manually. I just tap it 10 times. Then it goes up about 10 centimeters, which is recommended by Elegoo. It takes a bit longer, but of course I sped up the footage a bit. Then I clean up the LCD screen with a microfiber towel to make sure that there's no dust on it. Then carefully put the resin tray back in place and tighten the screws. So just like filament printing, there are different filaments, and in this case different resins for different uses, different outcomes, different colors, and all sorts alike. So if you're interested, feel free to check out some links in the description down below. There are different resins and also different printers, accessories, and other stuff listed there as well. So I just shake up the bottle with this general use UV curing resin, then just pour some into the resin vat and put the UV cover back on. The 3D files that I created earlier were transferred onto the supplied USB stick that comes with the printer, which is then of course inserted into the printer. You basically go into the menu, then select the files that you want to print and press play. And then it's just a case of waiting. A couple hours later the print should be finished. You can then carefully remove the UV cover and loosen the screw for the build plate and hang it up on the angled supplied bracket just to let the excess resin drip off for a bit longer. Now sometimes the prints go extremely well the first time, other times the prints just completely fail. In this case a couple of the prints failed, which was pretty much my fault as the files that I used weren't exactly correct or oriented or placed onto the build plate exactly as they should, so that's onto me. A couple of the other prints that I did were completely fine first time around and a great success. Then just turn the printer off, put the cover back on, and you're good to go for next time. Then move on to cleaning off the parts. I use some isopropyl alcohol, just put the resin build plate into a big container of it, shake it around a bit until it is cleaned off. You can also use an ultrasonic cleaner. I've ordered one of those for next time, which should make it a bit easier and a bit more thorough on the cleaning of the parts. Carefully remove them from the build plate. I then soak them into the alcohol a bit more until they are entirely clean. You can also just carefully use a brush, but be very careful as the parts are still a bit soft and need to be fully cured. Now if at this point you decided to go and print again, you can just leave the resin into the container in the printer and re-level it and start over again. If not, just be sure to clean it out properly, pour the excessive resin back into the container for another use next time, and then you're good to go. I put the parts into a UV curing light for nails, which was really cheap locally and is ideal for this kind of stuff. As you can see, the prints came out really good. These are super tiny and have almost no print marks whatsoever. A bit of paint and these parts are good to go. Now, of course, I didn't just print 2 parts, I printed multiple to see what this thing was capable of and what the outcome would be on a lot of these parts. So last time on the filament 3D printer, I also tried out these TE37s, and that was pretty much an unusable part with a lot of big gaps. And in this case, as you can see, it is a perfectly usable part, really sharp, and has a super nice finish. I also tried some more intricate wheels like these BBS LMs, and I also made them in a smaller scale for some 143 projects, which this turns out to be perfect for as well. A bit of a safety notice that I want to mention too is please wear some gloves if you're going to be sloppy with the resin, as you don't really want that stuff on your hands. It's sticky and probably not good for your health. Also be sure to wear a mask so you don't breathe in this stuff. Be in a well ventilated area and also have the printer in a well vented area as well. The printer works best at about 25 to 20 degrees Celsius. Now, of course, I'm aware you didn't see me wear any gloves, and that's stupid of me. I should be wearing gloves using this stuff. Now, it is, of course, also important to mention the better the 3D file, the better the print will probably turn out. In this case, I got some files from my friends at USCP. They make custom wheels, interior stuff, and other things for the scale model car enthusiast. And they sent over some files for me to test on this printer. They came out perfectly first time around. So as you can see, it's not, of course, just wheels, guns, and other stuff. You can do pretty much anything you can think of. So it's really cool to see how far 3D printing has come along and how affordable it is becoming. Again, if you want one of these printers for yourself, there are links in the description down below, and I will be using it for many more projects to come.